Okay, I can be Jennifer.
I need a beard.
By the way, this whole gambling thing is crazy how easy it is.
Mm-hmm.
There was 150 possible bets yesterday in a baseball game.
Ready?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Julie here in San Diego alongside Jen in New Jersey and Ozzy Jr. in Chicago. Welcome, everybody. Well, we are just about a week into the 2020 season, shy one day. And after 133 days of baseball quarantine, it looks like the eyes and ears are back when it comes to watching and consuming baseball. We're going to be talking about the Marlins being on timeout. We're going to be talking about new uniforms, bringing up some vintage revivals, plus what is ailing MLB's pitchers. We're going to be talking about MLB versus Corona and all that jazz. So welcome to the show. Be sure to let us know your thoughts and sound off on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and let us know what you think. Let's start off with the ratings. MLB debuted the 2020 season just last Thursday, and it looks like 4 million viewers tuned in to ESPN's broadcast of that Thursday night opener with the Yankees at the Nationals. That is up a whopping 238% from last year's opening day. Of course, the stakes were a lot lower, but this is the highest regular season TV ratings in nearly a decade for the network of ESPN. So congratulations. Everybody's watching baseball, right? Got to be good.
Yeah, and so much for we're not going to watch because people are kneeling.
Yeah, that was that put a kibosh on that one. You know what? No fans. That's the part that a lot of people said that they weren't going to watch because it wasn't going to be the same feel. I just think that people have a lot more time in their hands. I also think that this 60-game season, like you just said, we've only been in a week. I feel drained already in a week. I feel like this is like a pennant race. We were talking about that this morning. Everything's exciting. So I think that Major League Baseball, that means money. 4 million people on ESPN, that just means a lot of money for them. So that's a positive from the sense that they're going to do everything possible in their hands to keep this season going, because I'm sure the ratings are only going to keep getting better as the season gets hotter.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, it's I'm certainly glued. I mean, it's a little upsetting, some of the blackouts. The Dodgers-Astros games was blacked out in my area yesterday. So I missed everything that was going down with that. So we're going to get right into that in Joe Kelly. But some people are calling him a premier instigator. Some people are saying that what he did was wrong as far as throwing at Bregman, throwing at Correa. Let's talk about this and everything that went down last night in the Dodgers-Astros game, which led to a benches clearing almost brawl. Ozzy, can you break this down for us? What do you think was going through the mind of Joe Kelly?
Yeah, so Kelly, if you're not familiar with him, is a guy that's never been scared to show you that he has command of the ball. Mm-hmm. Okay, he did it with Boston. We know that he's been a part of a couple little tussles in the field. They were up 3 runs. Okay, one thing that was happening, there was a lot of chirping from the Dodgers and the Astros. So with fans not being in the stadium, okay,
you can hear.
You can hear everything. Also, you could pay a lot more of attention to what the other side is doing. So there's going to be guys are going to get a little sensitive, okay, depending on how you're playing. So that we knew was going to happen. But I think that number one, Joe Kelly usually cannot find the strike zone. So in at bat where he went 3-0 against Bregman, he knows that he's probably going to walk him, especially with no control. First base is open. He decided to, I'm going to let one go and let them know that I'm here. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to. If he wants to hit him, he'll hit him. Like. He'll throw in that vicinity of hitting him. So that was the first situation. Obviously, the team wasn't happy, but Bregman was a professional. He took first base, which was admirable.
You look scared though. I saw a flash of fear.
By the way, Joe Kelly's throwing 98. So Joe Kelly's throwing 98. So I don't care how tough you are. You're on the plate and someone throws that hard, you're going to be you're a little shook. The next at bat that no one's talking about is the Gurriel at bat. Gurriel wanted no part, and he got walked. He was like, I think he thought he was going to get hit, but it was am I going to get hit on purpose, or is this guy just doesn't know where it's going? So that brings up the Correa at bat. And again, during that at bat, Brantley, there was some chirping again from the dugout, which people have said that it's Gary Pettis, that it's Dusty Baker. So again, more tense. Again, that gives fuel to Kelly, but Kelly's still trying to get out of the inning. So you can tell that he completely changes his approach, and at one point throws no more fastballs. And the Correa pitch that gets away from him, it is a breaking ball. Then he strikes him out. Then that's when Correa did something that a lot of hitters do, which I am completely against, which is throw me your fastball. Why would I do that? When that's what the pitcher looking for. So that part, I was like, you're an idiot for doing that. But then Kelly was like, hey, I just struck you out. And then he name called him. So by name calling him, he said,
nice swing.
Nice swing, the B word. And everyone heard him. So nice swing, the B word, and everyone's hearing you. Those are words to like say something. So obviously Correa says something. He knew that he wasn't going to fight because he just stands there and is looking at him saying, why don't you throw me? And they're starting to argue. Once that happens, though, it's protocol that you walk out, okay, just in case something happens. But usually when a guy's going to go fight, they do it right away. And then you got a couple going back and forth, like, you didn't let the ball go, because of the Bregman situation. They knew that. But it was a combination of a lot of two things. But this ties back into also the situation of what's happening off the field. Instincts are something that are very hard to fight. Once you're playing, and this is why we're seeing guys getting hurt. This is why we're seeing guys go out and fight, even though the COVID situation, your instincts take over, okay? And you're in game mode. And you're not thinking, oh, I don't have a mask, that person might have COVID. You might think it after you run out there, but you're not thinking that at the moment.
I felt like looking at that situation, it was like a lot of guys were like, guys, COVID.
Yeah, correct. So
I felt that was the feeling.
And that's a coach's job, which they did a good job. The coaches, which I like the fact. So I was like, why are coaches wearing masks on the field? Now I get it, because if any situation happens, they're the ones that are going to separate guys, and obviously they're going to be in close vicinity. But this goes back to Major League Baseball should have implemented, if masks are that big of a deal in preventing this COVID-19, and we really believe this, they should have said, hey guys, wear masks from the start, because things like this were going to happen. So again, I think that the instincts take over, then you obviously stop yourself. But I think rules of like, oh, there's going to be no walking and you got to be able to prevent that. But it was fun. It was, I got a lot of news. And again, these are things that are going to keep happening. A couple good things happened from that. Dusty Baker, stood up for his team and said, so that's going to bring them closer. And from the Dodgers standpoint, they're just playing baseball, and these things are going to happen. I know every time from now to 5 years later, until these guys retire, every time they hit them, they're going to say, oh, it's because he cheated. It's part of the game, and they know it. But I love the fact that there was, Bregman could have charged the mound, and that could have been way worse, but guys handled it as a professionals. And the fans got a little bit of a taste of what happens in the dugouts. This happens all the time.
It's also difficult, right, when you're in this situation, because I get it. If you call me that word, if you're a man or a woman, and you get called that, right, it's like you're in that moment, you're like, wait, what? Like, what did you call? Are you trying to check me? Like, can I check you? And so you think you want to be mature in those,
it bothers you. But Correa didn't want to fight, though. He didn't want to fight. He was like, wait, what did you just call me? But I thought it was funny, though. Correa goes, if I hit a home run for you, I'd be running to home plate. Like, I was so confused about his argument. But I think that the part where you're as a player, when you're in a really bad situation from both sides, if your pitcher says something to the hitter, you can't let him sit out there and face the other team by themselves. Okay. And if you're a hitter, you can't have someone call you that and then you just go to the bench. So your teammates are like, what, dude, like, really? So that's when people come in, and usually the conversations, which John Boy does a really good job. I hope that other people could help him. Usually those conversations are saying, hey, calm down. He didn't try. So other guys are talking. But this is the beginning. I think this is going to carry over. Guys are playing. Look at the games, though. Look at the schedule. If you look at how many times players get in arguments in the regular season, you might play the Padres and not see them again for 6 months. So stuff dies out. This new schedule, you're seeing them next week.
Right.
So things are going to be a lot, emotions are going to be flaring. So it's going to be a lot more interesting. And it's not going to be the end of it. So wear a mask.
Two things. Bad call on MLB for having this game be blacked out, knowing very well that everyone wanted to watch that game. I mean, seriously, what are you guys thinking?
How does blackout work, though? No one's ever explained that to me. I feel like the blackout is kind of like the COVID situation. I don't understand how the blackout works because it also affected Chicago with certain games, and no one was able to give me a clear answer of, again, we just talked about in the previous segment about 4 million people watching this. You would think that only for these 60 games, go away with the blackouts. No one's going to the stadium. Let everyone watch the games.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll have to delve into that topic in a future show. I think it's a good one. And I have very strong feelings about it personally, being here in Southern California. All right, let's talk about some new threads that are hitting a field near you. The Padres, the Pirates, the Rangers, and the Brewers all debuted some new threads, some vintage revivals. I have to say, of all of these, you're seeing the baby blue of the new home alternates for the Rangers. They got a new stadium and they get some new jerseys. But I have to say, my favorite of all of these, and it's not the Padre Brown, which was a huge fan favorite. The fans have been asking for this, by the way. Being here in San Diego, I can attest to this. The fans have been asking to bring back the Brown. There's a whole Twitter campaign about it, hashtag bring back the Brown. And they finally brought it back this year. I'm not a fan personally. To me, the Milwaukee Brewers win this one. I love the script, the Milwaukee script across the front. Love that vintage throwback. Also, the Pirates bringing back the black for their road alternate jerseys. Very cool.
Same. I like the Milwaukee. I like the new uniforms. I mean, I like it. Exactly, money. It means people want to buy the new uniforms. They want to have the new threads. So that's, I like the light. I love the baby blue. I've always liked
the options that teams have. I love the options because you might not want to wear a certain jersey. Now you might want to buy a jersey of a player because like the blue is gorgeous. I love it. I love when teams if you have the ability to have multiple uniforms and you can handle it. I think it's something fun. It's one of those things that brings more marketing to the teams, and the players love it. The players love wearing different uniforms. That's one of the coolest thing as a player that you could do is like all the different unis that you have. So they did a good job. There's nothing super hideous. I'm like, this is a really
except for Brown.
No, I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I think that people in San Diego just have a nostalgic spot for it because of how successful they were back then. But it's one of those uniforms that there's nothing amazing about it, but they love it.
They love it. I will say there are varying degrees of like and dislike when it comes to their unis because they are very diverse. I do like the brown pinstripes. I am not a fan of the two-tone brown that they wear on the road currently in San Francisco, as in last night. Okay, let's move on to some culture news. This is very interesting. The House approves a bill to establish a new Smithsonian Latino Latinx museum. This is something that was 20 years, incredible that it took 20 years, and also questionable that one doesn't exist already. But there is really no museum that encapsulates or captures the Latino experience, the Latinx experience in this country. The Smithsonian will be building one. This is very interesting, very promising. And listen here, I hope we have a hand in helping them out.
Same. I was so happy when I saw the tweet. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, and we're going to be there. I mean, it was instinctively, that's what I thought too. Like La Vida Baseball needs to have an exhibit there because we all know how baseball is such a big influence in the Latino community and here in the States, how there's, the large percentage of players are Latino. So I'm excited I am a museum geek, so I love museums. So I'm excited for when this all goes down. And Julie, I agree. The fact that it took 20 years is surprising, but then again, it's not because.
Well, they're going to make it amazing. I'll look at the positive. They just waited 20 years to make it amazing. I love. That's the number one reason I liked going to Washington when Ozzy was managing and I got to be with the team was because I got to visit museums. That was my favorite thing about going there. Mm-hmm. I love it because I think that it solidifies the history of Latinos in the United States, but also for the next generations, for our kids, where they get to go somewhere and be proud and learn about their history, where they're from, but also what their people have been able to accomplish in the United States. I think sometimes you read a tweet about, a person doing something amazing in your community, but you really don't know because we don't have one place to go and visit it. And I think we've impacted from sports to music to politics to writing, even people that are Latino that we don't even know that they're Latino, that they're
Yeah.
two generations removed, but that they're still really close to their culture. So I think it's really cool because I think that's a huge part of American history, and it deserves to be there in that city where history lives. And I'm just excited because I think it's a really cool project. How many amazing things they can do, and of course how museums have changed now. What museums are no longer just an exhibit; it's just like a full entertainment. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm really excited about it.
Yes.
I once did a story on an exhibit that was at the Smithsonian out in Washington, and it was a Celia Cruz exhibit. It was a traveling exhibit, and it was one of the most beautiful and powerful exhibits that I had ever seen. I still remember to this day because you walked in, and if you remember watching the mass of her funeral, singer Victor Manuel sang her song "La Vida es un Carnaval," and it's a beautiful, it's a really moving, uplifting song talking about how life is a carnival. And he sang this at the mass, no music, it was just him, and it is one of the most powerful things you will ever see and hear. And when you walk into that exhibit, that's what you heard. So I can imagine all the different types of exhibits, all the different people that have impacted our culture worldwide, to have like just a space that we can all go and visit and say, wow, that's part of us. I think it's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. We look forward to it. We'll keep you guys updated on the progress with that. Well, MLB's best laid plans did not take into account what happens when almost half your team tests positive for COVID-19. So let's get into this. First of all, I want to start with the fact that Governor Cuomo of New York says that all the teams are invited to come play in New York State. He says that there are already protocols in place for New York. There's also the travel quarantine. He said this is the best place to do it. We are well equipped. My question is, where are all these fields that supposedly exist?
There
Coney Island has one.
But
yeah,
not up to MLB standards.
But
they would have to really lower their standard of playing.
But I mean, at the end of the day, if what you want to be is safe, right? I think the standard is, you throw that out the door. I think if what you want is to be safe and be in a place where you have the lowest amount of coronavirus cases and people getting contagious, part of me is like, that's not that bad of idea. But there is also the side of, you know what, who gets the income taxes? New York State. And that would be really great for the economy, because you got $1 million players having to pay millions of dollars in taxes in New York State.
Didn't think about it that way. You know what? I think that the reason that they're here in this situation is 4 months ago, New York was the center of, we can't play New York. We're going to go play in Tampa and Florida and whatnot. I really feel like Major League Baseball is making this up as it goes along. I really, really do. When you're running a project, you have to have risk protocols, okay? And that goes from just like when a player gets injured and you know that you're going to bring up the guy in AAA or in AA or single A, you have a protocol for that. But I feel like for this situation, if they knew that the testing or someone had tested or there was a false positive, or if you had a certain amount of, I wonder if there was a number they said, hey, if we get more than 5 players at one time, okay, or 10 players, we set off this protocol and we have a second city that we consider going to. The situation right now where it's easy to manage a team that needs to be quarantined, which is the Marlins at this point. But what happens to the other teams? Because other teams start getting scared of, do I want to go to Miami? Okay, I don't want to go there. Or what happens to other teams that need to be playing? So I feel like the protocols were not in place. Even when you're doing the scheduling, saying, hey, if we knew that these two teams were playing each other and this happens, we'll just have these other teams play. So I really feel that Major League Baseball, again, sometimes I'm surprised. I really feel like there's like only 2 people working in that office and they're overwhelmed. I really don't see it as this huge conglomerate of the league, because little things like this happen and you ask yourself, how is this even possible? So it's disappointing, because you would have thought they would have had a better plan and a plan of a plan and a plan of a plan of a plan.
Right. Well, the Miami Marlins season is technically on hold through Sunday. So they stand to miss 6 games, which is 3.5% of those 60 games that should be played. So the fact that there are up to this date 15 players, 2 coaches, 17 total people who are affected by this. The Miami Marlins are going to have 6 days to adjust, readjust, redefine their roster, regroup, figure out what they are going to do when it comes to their taxi squad moving forward, because this is a major problem. Because at the end of the day, there's no way that these guys are going to be able to make up those 6 games. They're talking about the contingency plan of, well, we'll take away off days. Ozzy, as you know, those off
That's
days.
injury. Derek Jeter doesn't have to play.
Derek
Jeter doesn't have to call Posada and say, "Hey, man, I need a catcher for the tomorrow."
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Derek Jeter even came out and publicly said, this is a very difficult time, quote unquote. He said that they are going through a very difficult time. They're not really sure. Like you said, Ozzy, they don't really have a plan in place. But then you see other positive news. Here's a tweet from Marley Rivera, who said that MLB announces that over 6,400 tests have been conducted since Friday, July 24th, and there have been no new positives of on-field personnel from any of the 29 teams, obviously the Miami Marlins notwithstanding. So that is a positive.
It's contained to one team, which is a positive, but there are holes, right, in how Major League Baseball's protocols are being run, because they're being tested every other day, meaning, and it takes like 48 hours for tests to come back. So there is a day in between when a player or an employee can be in the vicinity, be positive, and not even know it, right? And maybe be contagious, and then that's how the virus spreads. On another note, players have to be responsible, and I think we are all kind of tired of telling people to just be responsible. And there's no difference between a player and just a regular person. You guys got to hold yourselves accountable. You got to hold your teammates accountable. It's hard to know what players are doing once they leave the stadium. Are they going straight back to their perspective, wherever they're staying? They're staying at hotels, they're staying at their apartments. I mean, there was a coach that talked about the hotel that they were staying at was packed. There was a wedding going on. So and that's something that you can't even control, right? So those are little things. And to me, it's like, you guys couldn't come up with a plan of, book some of these hotels through the season and pay whatever it is that you guys needed to pay to these hotels, or rent out homes for the month and have players stay there. I mean, there's different things that could have been done, I think. And like you said, Ozzy, it seems like maybe it's just a couple of people coming up with ideas and not just being.
I've always thought, Jennifer, I always thought that was going to be the case. I always thought that they were going to get a hotel, and that every team that was coming, and the reason that Chicago and the Cubs were getting every team coming through was like those 2 hotels were going to be just for Major League Baseball. They were going to try to clean it, because they've done a great job in the clubhouses. The protocols in the clubhouses, from the people that I've talked to, it's amazing. You can't even order food out. It's got to come from within. I also think that it comes from teams and players. I know teams out there have even set rules of, they've called it out and say, hey, we don't want you seeing anybody that's not in your immediate family. Even your immediate family needs to be careful. So they're laying it out for the teams, making it own team rules, not Major League Baseball. The part that I find is extremely interesting, okay? In an era where guys wear headbands, they wear arm guards, they wear batting gloves, they wear 75 chains, they wear all these different things, okay? We couldn't tell them to wear masks. So the whole country, okay?
Protection has always been a question when it comes to athletes.
So hold on. So the whole country, okay, we're telling everyone that everyone needs to wear a mask, okay? Right now, that's like the one thing they're saying, if you wear a mask, the numbers go down a lot.
Yes.
How come the league did not say, hey, this is the official mask of Major League Baseball, make a bunch of PSAs and says, if we wear the mask, you wear the mask, and let everyone wear the mask. Let guys test it out. The vision, the whatnot, and maybe you say, okay, maybe the pitcher doesn't have to wear it, but everyone else in the field does. You have to wear it in the dugout and in the clubhouse, and just wear the mask. I feel that the last 3 days, I've seen guys wear it more on the field than the previous days after the Marlins situation. But I really feel that if that would have been put in place, at least the risk of, man, that the Marlins infect me and I'm a Phillies player. Because these guys are not hanging out in the clubhouses. They're not. The only time that you could be infected is on the field. So you completely take that out. And Philadelphia could have gone and played their games because you feel comfortable, but you don't feel comfortable because some players were doing it and not doing it. So I feel like that part, I feel like they dropped the ball. It was a huge opportunity for them. And again, I think that there's a lot of masks out there that you could use, that you could have partnered up with, one that made guys feel comfortable. I think that there's just I've seen so many options of guys that they could have had that. And I think that if I was a player now and I was a front office guy, I would as a general manager, especially if I think I have a chance of winning this, I would tell my guys and say, hey guys, I would encourage you guys to really wear the mask because it would benefit our team this much more on protocols and whatnot. Because right now, even if on a strategic standpoint, I think it affects you. Soto hasn't been with the Nationals for 5 days. That's 5 games that they don't have him for, and vice versa. So you see these big names kind of dropping, and it's unfortunate because COVID now plays into rosters. You get it? You're out for 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, there's no uniformity in masks. There's no uniformity when it comes to testing. And there are a lot of questions about the legitimacy of those tests. I mean, you mentioned Juan Soto. There's a whole, and I was going to bring it up in here, but there's also a lot that we don't know. So I don't feel truly comfortable speaking on the topic because I think there's a lot of parts of it that are still yet to be uncovered. But there are a slew of games that have been canceled. And like you mentioned, it's not just the Miami Marlins that are affected. The Baltimore Orioles had games postponed. The Yankees had games postponed. The Nationals had their weekend, 3-game set postponed because they were supposed to be playing the Marlins in Miami. And there was a vote. Dave Martinez opened up his Zoom manager pregame speech by saying that they had taken a clubhouse vote. When have we ever heard of this? And the guys in the clubhouse voted not to go to Miami because they didn't feel it was safe. And so they already, before MLB put down the hammer and said, you know what, next 6 games, at the earliest, the Marlins can play on August 3rd, which would be Monday. I mean, the fact that these guys are already aware of the fact that this is happening and they do not want to put themselves in harm's way, to me speaks volumes that they voted not to go to Miami.
Yeah, and I think with Dave Martinez in particular, he's already mentioned the fact that he has a heart condition and he is scared of being, in a place where he could get the virus. And I think that's the fear that a lot of these players have. And the fact that you will have players that don't want to go to Miami, it speaks volumes not only about what's going on with the league, but what's going on with the country. And we see it on a daily basis. We see the irresponsibility of certain, leaders in the states where we see cases going up and up and up, and no mask mandate being, put out there, not only by the states, but by Major League Baseball. I agree, Ozzy. The fact that Major League Baseball has not made this a mandate and you can put whatever logo you want on it and make it universal and make money off of this, I don't understand. And I feel like they were trying to do that by putting it on Instagram and posting the players who were wearing a mask, like be like Trout and wear a mask.
Well, if you don't want to play though, and if you don't want to play with a mask for whatever reason, then you opt out, and that's your decision. Right. Because again, just like we make rules for uniforms, that's a uniform rule. The other part is the part that you're talking about, Dave Martinez. That's what leadership does, okay? Mm-hmm. The responsibility of a manager is not only to win baseball games by making moves on the field, but you're responsible for those players. You're responsible for them on the field and their safety. And for him to go there, that shows the leader that he is. And that's something that I feel like in the game of analytics, sometimes we hope that someone from the front office comes down and tells you what to do. He's a player's manager. That's what a player manager is. For everyone who doesn't know the definition of what a player's manager is, this is what that is. You know that these guys are human beings before anything. He knows he wants to talk to them and say, hey, guys, what are we thinking? Because that lets the player say, hey, you know what? Dave cares about us, and he really cares about what we have to say. And they decided as a team vote. And you know what? I'm not surprised, because on teams that don't have leaderships like Dave Martinez, there will be that one player says, I don't want to go to Miami. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to miss 2 weeks. We're not playing. So I think when that starts happening, you're going to have to see Major League Baseball step in and force guys to go, or what are they going to decide? Because players are talking about it. Okay, players are human beings. Believe it or not, players are gossip queens amongst them, just like in every job, in every work. They'll talk, oh, I don't want to go. Well, this person's doing this. Oh, I heard the Marlins are going out and doing this. Rumors are out there, okay? They're not confirmed, but players talk. So I don't blame them, but I like the fact that Dave Martinez stood up and said, hey, what are we thinking? And more managers need to do this. And again, just like I said, if I was a general manager and I thought the masks were going to help me win games, I'm going to bring it up. And managers need to do this on a consistent basis, because more than any other year, your player's mental state, okay? Not only are you competing against 0 for 4s and really bad outings, you're competing against COVID, not seeing their families, health. It's a year that it's just a year like the country. It's just a lot of mental stress. And guys like Dave are in a position to lead, and he's doing a great job doing it.
Yeah, let's read some comments, Julie, on Facebook before we head out. People are talking about Anthony Rendon, who got his first hit and was a home run.
Was a home run, exactly. The Angels have not had a big bat in the hot corner since the mid-2000s with Troy Gloss. Good for Anthony Rendon, one of my absolute favorite players, one of the best guys in the game, keeps his head down and just focuses on the work. I am glad that he has come back from that back injury. It is wonderful to have him back. The AL West is happy for you. I'm happy for you, Rendon.
Yes, we are all happy for you. And somebody then asked, are the A's really that good, or are the Angels that bad?
Pitching. Oakland's good. They got a good team. They figure it out. They got depth. The Oakland Athletics have been playing the way that the COVID now dictates for a long time. We don't have a pitcher. We're going to start 3 guys. Hey, you go play this base. You go play that. Unless you're the Yankees and you have the best depth in baseball, you're going to have to be making things as they go along. And you're going to have to see a lot of guys step up. And the Oakland Athletics are really, really good at doing that. I think that's been the challenge on that Angels have fallen into, that they're not as depth. They don't have as much depth as Oakland does.
Yeah, and Shohei Ohtani had a very disappointing outing, which does not bode well, especially in an abbreviated season.
That's why we don't do
both.
Was
tough to watch. He's back from Tommy John. It's his first outing.
How hard
back from Tommy John. It was awful last year.
People have no idea the fact that guy even tried to pitch in a shortened season, coming back from Tommy John while he's also hitting is it. Just the fact that he took the mound, I was like, he's my hero, because that is so hard. The fact that he did it, but you know what? We'll see. He wants to do it. They asked him again if he wants to keep doing it. He's the starter every Sunday, and he said that he's up. That he's going back up. So again, every time he goes up on the mound, I watch, because to me, I know how hard it is to play Major League Baseball by being around guys. The fact that this guy's doing it in 2 positions, even if he does bad with it.
He's a gamer. Also, in some very happy news, Patrick Mahomes, congratulations. The Super Bowl winning Chiefs quarterback is now an owner. He's become part owner of the Kansas City Royals. Of course, he is now the youngest owner in sports history. Youngest, we'll say active owner. He's no stranger to baseball. His father was pitcher Pat Holmes, and he also played college football and college baseball at Texas Tech. Excuse me. So congratulations to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I love it because people don't realize this. For you to become a majority owner in any major sport, you have to have some type of experience, the background check, everything that comes into it. By him being an owner now, if in the future when he retires, he eventually wants to become a main owner and a main stakeholder, is going to be that much easier for him. So I love the fact that they're opening up the doors for minorities to come in that can afford it, but also putting him there because he is going to be a decision maker. And it's a good move for both sides, because obviously he's a big name, but I think it's also a way for him to see how it works. And who knows, he might be the first major athlete to own a major franchise, in baseball. Who knows?
Yeah, I love it. I thought it was great when I saw the news, and having a guy who, like he said, he's really close to this town, to this city. And it's something that really means a lot to him. And it's not always that you have owners who have ties to the city. So that's really something positive. And we root for him and root for the Royals.
Could have been a bear. And
the Royals just gained a whole lot of fans from Texas.
Yes,
well, thanks for watching, everyone. We appreciate it. Thank you for your comments and sounding off. We will be back next week with much more. Jen, Ozzy, always a pleasure. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.